Soul Society breakdown to discuss days 20 and 21 of Lawrence's Bleach journey. Today, Lawrence is joining us by phone to discuss the chapters he'd read, which include chapters 191 through 210 from yesterday and today. Lawrence, how are you?
I mean, good aside from my computer deciding to screw up right before we started recording, but what can you do?
What
Trying
can
trying
you
to get
do?
lighting. This is better lighting. Trying to yeah, there we go. Okay, but yeah, I hate the front facing phone camera though, but sign of the
Yeah,
times.
lighting's much better right now.
Yeah,
All right. So, why don't we start things off with discussing, as always, poetry? What did you think of the volume 22 poem for Conquistadores?
you
The
want to say
poem, yeah, well,
it?
yes, I'm setting it up. The
Okay,
poem went, there is no meaning in our world, neither is there any meaning in us, ones who live in it. It is then meaningless for us who are equally meaningless to conceive the world in our thoughts, despite knowing there is no meaning to be found.
damn, a lot of meanings going on there. Yeah, I mean this is an okay poem. I mean, I like the sentiment, I guess, but definitely have been better ones, but I liked it.
Yeah, so as someone who's read the series, I know who this poem relates to from the volume. Yeah, I'll just
Okay,
leave it at that.
gotcha.
So we've got a lot to go over here. To recap, where we last left off, uh, the Arrancars arrived. There's a disturbance in the human world detected by Soul Society, and we see two Arrancar touchdown. So, what were your thoughts of Yami and Ukiora?
Oh, those are their names. I guess. Yes, I didn't get the name. There's like again. I mean, I like their characters and stuff. Though it was cool, like to see them
Yeah,
arrive.
Ukiora is the person on the cover here.
I see. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think back on because this was this was a couple days ago now. So I'm trying to think
It
about
was
what
yesterday. It
happened.
was yesterday.
It was yesterday. It was yesterday. Yesterday morning. So when they first arrived, it was that what happened? Can you refresh my memory like what how like because I forgot like how this all initially kicked off.
So they arrive in the human world, and they're saying we got to look for Ichigo, pretty much. And
Right. Oh, okay, I remember. And then
yeah,
they find Ichigo, and then he like wrecks
well,
him. Well, he kind
well,
of
Chad shows up first with Orihime.
yeah.
Chad gets wrecked by Yami,
Right.
and then Ichigo arrives, and he starts fighting Yami,
Right. And then
and we get this moment. I'm bringing up here. There we are. Cuts off Yami's arm.
oh yeah, I do remember that. Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now I remember. He like the big one is easy. Like the big one, he's like he sweet just like he just knocks him down, and then the smaller one is like the actual the real test here, and then they start fighting, and and then Ichigo is kind of like frozen a little bit because he's afraid about like the whole hollow aspect of everything that of the like the
So
hollow. Yeah. Huh?
it, Yami continues to try and fight. Yami pulls out his sword to try and fight Ichigo seriously, and that's when the Hollow starts intervening. Ukiora
Right.
just watches this entire time.
Right. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. No, yeah, that was coming back to me. But yeah, I mean that was a cool like kind of like introduction into uh the capabilities of the Arrancars and it was interesting to see Ichigo like on his first go round with these new powerful creatures. So yeah, all fun stuff all around.
I mean, what did you think of Yami, and what did you think of Yami first off?
Yami's a bigger one, right? That he was fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yami, I don't know. You seem kind of just like fodder, like a fodder level Arrancars. Like you didn't like I didn't really take him too seriously. He seemed kind of like a bit oafish,
Yeah.
a bit arrogant. So I was definitely looking a lot closer at the other Arrancars in terms of like who was the powerful one in that group.
So I guess your thoughts then on Ulquiorra?
Okiora, yeah, he's definitely like like the classic saying that talk soft but carry a big stick. He was definitely
Mm,
like a kind of guy that knows he's packing some heat. Like he'll come out and just he'll crush anyone, but he's not gonna just be like out in the streets bragging about it and
yeah.
saying like hyping up his name. He definitely which definitely makes me think that he's like up there in terms of the Arrancar and their abilities.
Yeah. When Ulquiorra here has a great character design, I think it's a distinctive one. So he's a great person to introduce here.
Yeah,
Ichigo is saved from while he's still Ichigo is saved from a harsh blow here from Yami while he's still quaking under the hollow fear by Urahara and Yoriichi, and Yoriichi proceeds to easily wreck Yami. But
yeah,
before Yami can be dealt a major blow by Urahara's released Shikai, Benihime,
hmm hmm
Urahara destroys it and says, "Okay, we're good here. It's time to go. We've determined that we've evaluated Ichigo, and he is not a threat."
right,
So that's how it ends there. Ichigo suffers a crushing defeat. And the next chapter, Ichigo is sulking, and we hear some commotion at school.
yeah. Let's
And
go. Yeah,
wouldn't she know it? Look who shows up at school here. It's none other than the Shinigami.
the squad is here. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What did you think here when they showed up?
Definitely my favorite development thus far. Like I like already like this that just like that moment and then what happens like after that is already better in my opinion than anything that happened in the Soul Society arc. You know, and I'll give this Soul Society arc some credit because I think these characters that were like brought into this arc that's happening now were probably given the most development of them. Also, like when I saw them on the panels like right there in that spread, I was like,
Mm,
oh, okay, so I know enough about each of these like five people to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm actually excited like individually for each of them to see like how they work within the dynamics of like Earth and with Ichigo's friends and with whatever developments might occur while
yeah.
while they're there.
My feeling about Soul Society arc is that the pacing is good, but what it's really best at is just introducing you to all the characters you're going to see throughout the rest of the series.
Right, yeah, and yeah, because my big complaint during the Soul Society arc was that I felt like they were introducing like too many people at
Mm,
once to the point where I didn't feel like enough people were getting like fleshed out in the right way. And it just like kind of just like overlapped to the point where like the names were just like going through one ear and out the other. But yeah, definitely the upside of that is that you know introducing such a big stable of characters and in a cast like makes it easier for like in arcs that happen afterwards for them to be like, okay, we're gonna throw these four Soul Reapers out here to help Ichigo with this problem, and then maybe another arc is like another four or five different Soul Reapers, and you can kind of like rotate out the group there. So I like it from that perspective.
what did you think of these obviously high school looking people who arrived for them as the
Oh,
representatives?
oh yeah, yeah. I was very, very happy, very satisfied with the crew. I mean, a lot of fun moments. You had like the dudes in the classroom hitting on Rengiku and her just like kicking him in the face. all fun stuff there. You had Ikaku with the ball jokes, pulling out the sword like at a moment's notice. You had and Renji being Renji, the all Brosnan and all that. The pretty boy back there doing his thing, and of course, Hitsugaya or Matsumoto, whatever you want to call him, being
Mm.
too cool for school. So they all had their traits working, and I think it gelled really well with the school setting and stuff that would happen later.
But well, they show up and they are not alone. There's another familiar face here.
The homie.
Rukia returns.
Yeah, she wasn't going to be courtside too long. They had to bring Rukia back in the fold, and yeah, what a way to put it, instantly. I thought it might be like one like at least half an arc or like maybe like in the middle of the next arc where she would arrive, but it was definitely uh, a welcome surprise that she was like back. Literally, like she might have had like two chapters off, like pretty much, but yeah, good stuff.
So, what did you think here of? Oh, those are not my notes. That is Task Manager. Uh, the further Arrancars in what did you think here of Rukia's return in the sense of also like her snapping Ichigo out of it?
Yeah, I think that worked in terms of like she's the one that taught him the powers, like like the at least the beginnings stages, like the nascent stages of his abilities.
Mm,
So she would have as much of an idea as anyone of like what he's capable of, and she like saw how quick of a learner that he was. So it would make sense that she would like know what buttons to push in terms of like how to snap him out of his funk, and she would be like the exact person that he would listen to like with that kind of like analysis. I think there's like only a
mm,
few, like maybe like Urahara and her and maybe Yorichi kind of are probably like the only three people that would have really been able to like actually like push Ichigo out of that. And I think Rukia might be like probably the best option because they also have that more personal connection going on underneath as well. So I think it works on both fronts for me.
all right. So as the Shinigamis arrive, we also get some more info on the Arrancars here. What did you think of the more we found out here about the makeup of the Arrancars, how they are made, and so on?
Arrancars, yeah. So so it was good to finally get some include. Well, I guess
Everybody
we
shows up in Ichigo's room to explain.
yeah, that was a fun bit as well. Like there were people hiding
Mm,
in the attic. Matsumoto, or this guy, whatever you want to call him, was too cool for school to get once again and wouldn't join in. And he had to like get let in from the window outside. It was a fun little bit. But yeah, in terms of the explanation and all that, I mean, we did get a little piece of this in the previous 10 between the conversation between Ichigo's dad, Ishin, and Urahara, where they kind of go into like Aizen's the person behind this, and like this was probably his plan from the get go. But it was good to see Ichigo getting the information download, and to see the captain's kind of like the reactions to like as they were telling it. You got to see like how their point of view from it, as someone that they
mm.
worked with so closely, like being so dastardly and so underhanded. Yeah, so yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so the little bit more of information we get here is how Arrancars are made in terms of the removal of their mask, and specifically what it means to be an Arrancar is that if you're a Menos or higher and you have your mask removed, that's how you become an Arrancar.
Right.
And
Okay.
that,
Yeah. That,
yeah,
that was yeah. That was a major
there
part too.
there are three stages to the Menos Grande, the Gillian, which is what we first saw when in the Ichigo versus Uryu fight early on in the series. The big nameless things and faceless ones. The
Yeah.
second are the Ajukas, which are or the Ajuchas. Ajukas. I'll say Ajukas.
Hmm.
Um, they are a little more humanoid in appearance. Um, I think Grand Fisher is supposed to be an Ajukas.
Yeah.
Um, and then the strongest and the most rare are the Vasto Lords. Those are the most humanoid and that are supposedly stronger than the captains. If Aizen has more than 10, Soul Society's doomed. And of course, the chapter then ends with Aizen welcoming Ukiora and Yami back from their scouting mission and saying, share your findings with your 20 brothers.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. That was a great bit. Yeah, I forgot about them. What were you gonna say?
it was a little eye rolly for me, like all within the same chapter. like okay, sure.
No, I mean that was no, like it was like a
Yeah.
fun, like I know, like I didn't think it was like a great bit in terms of like a reveal. Like it was like, oh man, that's crazy. It was more like a funny like thing to me. Is like
Mm-hmm.
like right after, it was kind of just like almost like an Arrested Development or like kind of sitcom style thing where they say this is like exactly like the worst possible scenario, and then literally there's like a juxtaposition of like, well,
Yeah.
that's the scenario where we're actually dealt with. Little do they know. So.
Ron
I found it fun from that perspective.
Ron Howard begins speaking and says, "There's 20."
Yeah, there's 20. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um. So, what did you think of Ukiora and Yami's report here? Their debriefing.
Yeah, it was. It was. I like that you got to see like the dynamic between Aizen and his
Mm,
Arrancars henchman that he has going on, where he's kind of the head honcho there. He's leading this discussion, and you kind of got to see like a glimpse into what the like personalities of these Arrancars are. They all seem pretty definitely all pretty arrogant. They all think they're the hottest shit since sliced bread. They're walking around with their chest buffed out. And it was I thought like a very I guess somewhat unexpected development was that they were so hard on like what's the smaller Soul Reapers? I mean the smaller Arrancar's name again, Orkiar or Orinkar.
Ukiora. Ukiora.
Okiora.
Is
Okiora.
it?
They
Yeah,
got
it's an odd pronunciation for sure.
Okiora. Yeah, so Okiora, they were all the well, mainly there was one guy who was kind of like wow, so you just let Ichigo like run free or soft. Like why didn't you just like snuff him out if he's so weak? Like if the whole point of the whole thing was that that we need to get him like out the game before he becomes like the full extent of his potential. So I somewhat agree with that perspective, but then it was a interesting counter from Okiora, you know, also a sign of his arrogance as well, that he was pretty much saying, well, like it doesn't matter, like he's not going to be as strong as me, no matter like what Ichigo does. Like I saw it up close. Like we might even be able to like make him of use to us down the line. So like he felt like it was a waste of time to even just like stuff him out. He thought it was he seemed like almost just out of pure curiosity. He wants like Ichigo as his own like pet project to handle. So yeah, definitely interesting developments, and I like seeing the dynamics. And this is like kind of what I was like wanting more from the Soul Society arc, where you kind of got to see like the bad guys and like what their line of thinking is, and like how
Mm.
they're planning things out. I like to see like that kind of back and forth where you get to see how both sides are kind of moving the chess pieces. So definitely like a lot more hyped for the build up here.
What did you think of Ukiora just casually removing out his eye and crushing it so everybody could, see what happened?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely some tough guy shit. Uh, Really making me start to somewhat believe his claims that he could just handle Ichigo if he's just like, just take out my eye, it's no big deal. Like, I'm just like that powerful. Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, of course, like Ichigo has the shonen protagonist plot armor going on, so I'm
Yeah.
not too worried for him. But yeah, it was good stuff. Good stuff.
So just to catch you here, what were your thoughts on Grimjow here
Is Grimjaw
when you first meet him in Hueco Mundo?
is Grimjaw the one that was saying like that he should have killed Ichigo?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, probably like the maybe the most arrogant of the wrong card that we've seen so far. I mean, that's a common theme. It seems like between all of them. but the way he was talking out of his mouth sideways and just like going on, and making he seemed like he thought he was like the most important, like the hottest shit in the room. So yeah, definitely a guy that uh thinks he's the number one.
Yeah.
Besides Eisen, it seems like they're all deferential to Eisen no matter what, but he thinks he's like the he
Mhm.
should be the top dog.
Yeah. Well, we'll get some more on Grimjow a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So yeah, I guess the notable thing here from all this is that they didn't quite seem to be fully aware of Orihime.
Mm-hmm.
Okiura did definitely take some interest in seeing her powers
Yeah.
when he has his sojourn to the human world, and notes that she doesn't heal. It seems more like she reverses time and space. So that's a
Mm.
little bit of an interesting explanation there that we haven't really gotten before about Orihime's powers.
Yeah, that was I remember that, and yeah, he definitely seemed very intrigued by what her capabilities are. Like very much like how the 12th Division captain, if I remember correctly, was very excited and wanted to like do a bunch of weird experiments on Orihime. So it seems like her abilities are going to be a major point of a plot or whatever you want to call it further down the line.
Yeah. So everybody's at home. The Soul Society members of Shinigami, they disperse to find lodging for the night. And Rukia stays with Ichigo. Yumichika and Ikaku just sort of wander off. Rengoku decides that she will stay with Orihime after Ichigo refuses her advances. And Hitsugai just kind of follows along. And Renji decides he needs to go pay Urahara a visit.
Yeah, yeah.
And uh, here we get an interesting little scene of fan service, I guess, between Orihime and Rengiku. But I
Yeah.
gotta say, I actually do like the scene itself.
Yeah, no,
Because
there's definitely some content. Yeah, some depth
yeah,
there.
despite the fan service, I feel like the scene is really good with little details like Orihime's toes curling through the panels as she continues talking and expressing her jealousy over Rukia and Renkiku's reactions. I feel like this is the kind of thing that these little moments and how Kubo expresses them. I feel like these are some really great little things that I don't necessarily always see maybe
Yeah,
appreciated about the series.
right. Yeah, it was definitely like Game of Thrones esque, where you have the fan service here, but the content of the conversations and like the stuff surrounding it are very important stuff. So you can't you can't just completely like disregard that scene. Because it was
Mm,
very interesting to explore like one of my favorite dynamics of the whole like series, that whole kind of like Ichigo and Rukia, like what is the definition of like what's going on there? I mean, I assume, I think they just are friends slash like training sparring partners based on what I've got seen so far. I don't think there's really anything there, but it is definitely good to get like Orihime's perspective, because like she's kind of on the outside looking into that relationship. She up until even like when she like joined Ichigo to like save her from the Soul Society, like they maybe have exchanged like two or three different conversations between each other, and it must have been like weird her just like seeing Rukia and suddenly just become like
mm,
Ichigo's like number one friend, like out of nowhere slash what like whatever she might think they are, and the fact that he was like so she was so instantly able to get him out of his funk. Definitely understandable why she would be
yeah,
feeling some type of way about that, and the way like Ringigo kind of like comforted her and gave her like further context and kind of like was really able to like carry the torch and be a good friend. Yeah, great
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
When we start the series, Orihime definitely has a crush on Ichigo at least, and here she confesses that she loves him. And
yeah,
at the start of the series, like they were barely like tenuous friends. It was more like Orihime was on friendly terms with Ichigo because of Tatsuki, and
right.
really it was only after Rukia shows up and he becomes a Shinigami that they actually become closer. So there's that bittersweet relationship for her where she's become closer friends with this person that she cares and loves deeply from afar for a while. But in the shadow of that is the question of Rukia's relationship, seems to be the driving force in Ichigo's life as of late.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we end what would have been yesterday's podcast or yesterday's stream uh, of 10 chapters with the Arrancars invading. What were your thoughts, just knowing that all of a sudden we were going to get another invasion here from Grim Jow and some of his friends?
From Grimja. Yeah, that was cool development. You know, that we're just gonna like jump head first into like these fights and getting to see more about the Arrancars and their abilities. I like that where there wasn't like kind of a cool down. We just like got right into it. You know, like and like right before that happened, as you said, like all the Soul Reapers that arrived were kind of like split up into their like little groupings, like you know, like Matsumoto and Rengiku were together. Obviously, Rukia and Ichigo are together because after Rukia convinced Ichigo's family that she was like a homeless student that they needed to take in. That was a fun
Mm.
little thing there. And then obviously Ikaku and I always forget this guy's name. The other guy in the 11th group.
Yumichika?
Yeah, Yumichika. Yeah, and obviously they like do their thing, and then you got a little glimpse of Renji going to try to like confront Urahara to figure out more about like what was going on with like Rukia and like all, but in what you know he's kind of like a shady figure to him as well. So yeah, it was yeah cool to see that as well. But yeah, definitely great to instantly get into the action.
Yeah. Um, so we can then start things off with the poem for volume 23.
Yeah.
So Mala Suerte, the poem for the volume is okay. This is a longer one.
Mm-hmm.
We are fish in front of the waterfall. We are insects inside the cage. We are the runes of the billows, the skull on the crosier, the force of the torrent and the whale that drinks it. We're the five-horned bull. We're the fire-breathing monster and the screaming children. Oh, we are poisoned by the moonlight.
Yeah. Yeah, deep stuff, deep stuff there. I mean, it's an okay poem.
All right.
I don't have really much to say.
Okay, sure.
I mean, what do you think?
Um,
Does it like does it add a lot to this volume?
I like it. I think it's in many ways referring to the various Arrancars who show up here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see it from that perspective too. Yeah.
So the fights begin. People go to their targets. Chad is shaved. Chad is saved by Ichigo last second from death, and Ichigo pretty casually dismisses Chad here, and Rukia senses it passing Chad on the way, so she says, "Step aside, Ichigo. It's my turn to fight." And we get to see Rukia's powers for the first time. What did you think of her abilities?
Yeah, that was a very cool. Very cool. Was that her Bankai that
Now
move, or
that's
is it,
her.
or
That's her
is it Shinkai?
Shikai.
Shinkai. Yeah. So yeah, that was a very cool Shinkai. Probably, maybe the coolest. You know, at least top three coolest Shinkai that we've seen. Of course, she has like the white Zanku Podo, making it unique. And you know they had that like whole thing where it created that kind of like beam of light that
Yeah,
that just didn't cover like the ground. Of course, he thought like I'm gonna jump in the sky and I'll be fine,
yeah.
but no, it covers everything within the beam. So
It's not.
yeah,
It's not light. It's ice.
ice, beam of
Yeah,
ice. Yeah, and yeah, and I like the spread here too, like a really cool looking spread in terms of like the first reveal. Yeah, so yeah, definitely one of my favorite Shinkai reveals I've seen.
yeah. Her Shikai is considered to be the most beautiful Zanpakuto in all of Soul Society for its pure white form and its design. She
Yeah,
is a ice/snow user. This is different from Hitsugaya, who's specifically designated as ice and water, just for reference.
right.
Yeah. Um, So we get to see Rukia's powers for the first time. It's a really cool moment when it happens here. And as you mentioned, a great spread that I've pulled up here for us to see.
Yeah.
We then move on from that to a different fight featuring the man on the cover, Volume 23, Ikaku. And Ikaku faces off against. So in the translation, I know you read it says Eduardo, but I believe his actual name is Edrad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we will go by here. Um, Ikaku fights Edrad. What do you think of the beginning of the fight? At least to just him taking on this Arrancars.
Right. So the beginning of the fight, Edrad is definitely again once again, as I previously said, very arrogant. Like it seems like a very Arrancars. Not unique to the not unique to them. They're very like much like that. Like he didn't want to
Give his
I'm
name.
trying to give his name because he felt like what's the point? I'm going to kill you anyway. And then and Ikaku is like, yeah, well, hey, yeah, it's just customary. But I kind of liked how it started out. He like Ikaku was definitely losing, but of course we're about to get to that point. But once he was like really like down on his luck, he was like time for the Bankai show because obviously in the 11th division they have like this thing about like not wanting to use Bankais because of like it's almost like, they view it as a sign of weakness and kind of like almost like cheating the fight. So it was interesting to see him push to that extent. Another like favorite aspect of it was one of Ichigo's friends was like in the background during the fight and he was like uh, asking the other member of the 11th division,
Even
why
Chica, yeah.
Yurichika, why don't you help him? And he was like, that it would like dishonor him, like, and he's happy right now, and he was like, well, what if he dies? Well, he'll die happy, So, yeah, you definitely got a lot more depth about Ikaku. I'm trying to remember if the flashback aspect of this was after post Bankai. I think it was. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so we also get to see the first time the release date of the Arrancars
Mm-hmm.
from Edward, which I have showed up here. What did you think of their release date?
Definitely menacing. Is
Mm.
the makes you go into like a very hollow like form. So
Mm.
and they described it when he went to the form. It's like a mix of their kind of like Soul Reaper esque abilities that they've gained in the Rancor status with their true form of like being a hollow. So
Mm.
uh, could
Yeah,
definitely understand like why that would be a very powerful combination.
yeah. Like you said, in order to when they have their mask off, this is them sealing their power in the form of their sword to
Mm-hmm.
enter the humanoid state, and when they release their sword state, they return more closer to their original Ajikas or Vestal Lord state.
Right.
We see that here with Edward as depicted. Volcanica is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice name. And he really gives Ikaku a run for his money here to the
Yeah.
point that he almost dies before Ikaku states that he really didn't want to have to do this, but he's happy that
Yeah.
he thinks someone else will notice. And then we get this panel, which is one of my all-time favorites in the series.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You could tell like he's just like on the edge of death right there, and he's just like the way he's smiling and just like he looks like
Yeah,
possessed, a man
his
possessed.
his eyes have turned to slits. His pupils are gone. The swirling behind him, the way his Zanbakuto is bent. His arm looks skeletal in all
Yeah.
aspects. I think this is just this has always been one of my personal favorite panels in the series.
Nice. Yeah, I can
This
see
is
that.
also it's also just such a great unexpected moment here.
Mhm.
Because you remember, this is someone who had his Bankai when he fought Ichigo and didn't pull it out.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Uh, yeah, and he was pretty much dead there too. Like he could have been killed by Ichigo. Like he was in fact like, why
Yeah.
didn't you kill me? Like, and it was are we? Should I go into like the whole flashback thing now, or are we
No,
gonna wait till
no,
we
no.
get?
We'll come back to that in a little bit.
Okay, but yeah, cool reveal with the Bankai.
Yeah. So then we get to. Oop, that is not the right. All right, here we go. Pulling on the screen. So we get to see his Bankai itself,
Yeah,
and it is this. It is. I think this is actually mispronouncing. I think it's a Hyoshikamaru Ryumon.
yeah.
And what do you think of his Bankai?
Yeah, once again, another cool Bankai reveal. If I'm like, I mean, if I'm like ranking them off the top of my head, I still think Ichigo is probably the coolest Bankai reveal I've seen so far. But this is definitely up there. Maybe number two, maybe number three. Just yeah, just really cool. He has obviously the big like big swords, and the dragon right there, and the way he's standing, and also combining with that previous panel, he's obviously like close to death. Like you see like the blood all over him, and he just like
Mm.
looks like slightly demonic. So yeah, really cool shot.
Yeah, I really do like the design of his Bankai. It's very visually distinctive.
Hmm.
There's a lot of visually distinctive stuff in the series, but I don't think any other the other Bankais really come close to mirroring Ikaku's here with the giant blades and then the way they're interconnected via chain to the blade directly on his back.
Yeah,
I'll do a zoom here as well. Well, that didn't really do much.
yeah, I got it, I got it.
So Ikaku finishes his fight with Edrod in a final standoff. They both deal some pretty heavy damage to themselves, but Ikaku at least comes out alive, even though his Bankai breaks, it seems.
Right, right.
And Yumachika says he's glad he survived and he's not surprised. And we then get to see Ikaku's flashback. What did you think of the flashback from Ikaku?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very common trope it seems with him being close to death and then being like, "Why don't you kill me?" And then, but it was cool to see like cool to see Zaraki kind of give him like the speech of like, you should rather than like try to die, you should be like looking for ways to live and like rue this day and and fight me again. Like I'll give you other opportunities. Um, so it definitely cool to see, like cool or it kind of makes sense that Ikaku has like always just like lived his life like for the fight. Like it seems like even from like his early days that that's just like what he was born to do was like fight pretty much.
Hmm.
And then also like in the latter half of the flashback you get to see like they're looking for another captain to replace Aizen, and Renji knows that he is one of the few people that isn't a captain that can perform the Bankai. And
Hmm.
the explanation that he gives is that he's living for his opportunity to like rematch Shiraki slash live under him and serve him and die with him or die for him. So definitely every man has a code and that's his code. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, like yeah, definitely a great development and really gave me more understanding of how he operates and like what he lives for.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Renji's fight against Ilfort is not going too well, but Ruru shows up and she goes into genocide mode and puts Ilfort through his paces. What did you think of Ruru's genocide mode?
Yeah, like it was like it was like she like a switch turned on and she was just like became just like a flying in the air and blah 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 and like so the panels like the way they were structured I was like kind of I think what happened was that she was turned out to be a hollow, right? Was that what happened?
Ruru?
What was going on? Like I was like so she like flew in and then like it like what? Okay, so like what happened with her? Like that was like
So she detects an enemy and she goes into genocide mode. She starts
yeah, I got
fighting the
that part.
enemy, and
Yeah,
then Ilfort releases his releases.
that's what it was. Okay, okay. He
Yeah,
released
and
his. That's what happened. Okay, because
yeah,
it kind of looked like when like Ichigo's like mom died and the Hollow had like kind of like the human puppet thing like sticking out like almost like a like
no,
yeah, so I thought like I
no,
was like
no,
confused for a sec. Was it saying that her like she's like a Hollow because it's like she's like the puppet of the Hollow
no,
or something? But
no.
then now that makes more sense
Yeah,
to me. Okay,
she gets
yeah.
pierced by one of Ilfort's horns when he releases.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like the way that because like right after that happened, it kind of ended. So
yeah.
I was like, okay. But now that yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, so
By the
uh
way, so Aruru is apparently supposed to be a human. I looked this up, and as far as I know, she's just supposed to be a human with, I guess, some sort of powers. I have no idea what genocide mode means. It makes it seem like she's a robot or something, but apparently she's just a human. So yeah.
yeah, I definitely like want more background into like Ururu and what's the kids the other kid's name, the boy?
Shinta.
Into yeah, I would yeah, definitely want to get more background as to like how Urahara came to find them and like where are their parents at, like what's the deal with because they all seem like very powerful like in terms of like their
Mhm.
spiritual energy abilities and like at such young ages especially so
Yeah.
yeah, definitely would like to get more background as to what's going on with them, but definitely a fun reveal in terms of her having this like genocide mode.
What did you think of Ilfort's release in the bull form?
Yeah, once again, another cool reveal. Well, not really reveal because we already knew they had these like release abilities, but
Mm.
the fact that he has this like bull
Yeah.
thing going on. Yeah.
Basically,
Mhm.
what it is that like from now on, you're also going to get to have the Arrancars also have their own Bankai reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that wasn't on level of any of the other ones that happened earlier
yeah.
in these like previous like 10 now 20 chapters, but even or even throughout, but it was fine.
Hmm. All right. What did you think of Shalong's reveal? His release.
Oh, his real yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I mean, once again, I don't think it was like on the level of like of Ikaku's reveal or even like Rukia Shikai or anything like that. But it was cool, cool panel.
All right. So, uh, what did you think on the reveal of the Arrancars ranking reveal and the Espada?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to get some further context as to like how the with the rankings of their around car work and their inner workings. I mean, uh, like in terms of like crazy exciting like oh my god my mind's blown like obviously it wasn't that I don't think it was like meant to be that kind of moment but it was definitely good to get like further
I think it's meant to be a big moment when they reveal that.
I mean like uh I guess I mean like
More so the fact that one of the Espada, the top 10, is
okay,
there.
that's a big
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
aspect of it is a big reveal in terms of like one of the Espada are here and the fact that the 10 Espada are like like are way more powerful than any of the other 10 that aren't uh
Mm.
in that grouping. So I mean, yeah, that's definitely like relevant stuff and yeah, the reveal that one of them are there is definitely like big stuff, but like the just general there are an Espada 10, you know, the it's good to get further context.
Yeah. So Grimjow is revealed to be the sixth Espada here, sixth strongest in terms of power,
Right.
based on the explanation we get. And just to be clear, I know in the translation you're reading it says Grimjow, but or sorry, Grimjaw. I know it says
Hmm.
Grimjaw. It's Grimjow.
Good to know. All right.
Yeah, this is an early translation stuff, but you can see in one of the actual character chapter panels where it's like the the chapter title page is of a character and it has their name in the background. You can actually see it spelled out Grim Jow, but they continue to call him Grim Jow in the chapter for whatever reason in the translation. So
Yeah.
just going to throw it in here. We do get the results of the first popularity poll in the series. I'll bring up the bottom five in the top
Was
10.
there? Well, there was one earlier.
There was?
Yeah, there was one earlier because remember they had that whole like sub chapter where they had like the characters reacting to like where they were placed, and like Khan was like the like narrator of it, and he was like, I'm like 11, and like I would be higher if like so and so wasn't introduced. Yeah, there was one earlier. There was definitely one earlier.
Okay, well, here's the second one.
Yeah, there's a second one.
Uh, in 10th place, we have Orihime with 2,901 votes. By the way, this is a winter themed spread.
Damn,
In ninth
Yeah,
place, yeah, go on.
I was saying, yeah, because Orihime was like in like the teens or 20s, and I remember there was like a panel of her and Chad together because they were like very close in the rankings, and they were like both
Mm,
crying with each other or whatever. Yeah, all
well,
right.
she's moving on up.
Yeah, moving on
Um,
up.
in ninth place, we have Zaraki with 3,001.
Nice.
In eighth place, we have Urahara with 3676. So
Mm-hmm.
big jump between Zaraki and Urahara here from ninth to eighth place.
Yes.
Smaller jump from eighth to seventh, where in seventh place is Yuriichi with 3,744.
Yes.
And then by 8 votes, Byakuya comes in sixth over Yoriichi at
Mm-hmm.
3,752.
Nice.
From then on, we can move to the top five, baby.
Top five. Stay alive.
We have in fifth place Jin Ichimaru at 4,039 votes.
I'm
Uh,
surprised by that,
People love his design and his slippery character.
but no, I'm out.
In fourth place, with almost 500 votes more, we have Renji with
Makes sense,
4,517. In third place, we have Rukia with 6,122, so jumping the 5,000s entirely.
of course.
In second place, with 8,321 votes, we have Hitsugaya. And
Too early for me, but yeah.
we do have first place here for Ichigo with just I think the math is 49 more votes here. Yeah.
Damn. I
So
edged
close.
him out.
Yeah, close results here. I'm pretty sure from here on out, Hitsugaya overtakes him.
Yeah, I mean, I can see his guy being top 10, but yeah, definitely too early for me to be number two. But I'm really liking him in these 20 chapters I read as well. So yeah, I'm not too bad, you know.
Hold on, I think I deleted something I did not mean to. Yep, that is accurate. Um, okay, so we found what are your thoughts on the limit release? So all the Shinigami that arrived came with a limit to their power. And
Oh,
that's the explanation is why they were losing, you know?
yeah. I mean, well, earlier we got that kind of background I'm trying to remember like the content. It was like because when they arrived to the Soul Society, and he was like when and Ichigo was first fighting Renji, he was like saying like, why are you trying to fight me right now? Like I already wrecked you on Earth. Like you think things are gonna change? Renji was pretty much like, well, if you actually knew that our powers are limited in on Earth because we're trying to, it's like for the safety of the people there. So we kind of got that like explanation already. So that was in the back of my mind a little bit, but it was cool to have this reveal that they have a way to kind of get around that limit that they're that set. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, obviously the ties of battle change completely once they are able to fully harness their capabilities as they would if they were back home in at the Soul Society.
Yeah, honestly, I just think it's like a ridiculous sort of jobbing thing here.
Well, like you mean in terms of just like I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
we were only pretending to be weak. Haha.
obviously, it's like a plot device. Like it's not really like it's not like too exciting of a twist. But I mean, I just like, it was fine. I wasn't excited by it, but I was just saying like I kind of remembered that from before. I was like, oh, that's probably like how they're going to get out of like losing here because like obviously they're not going to like kill off like half of the captain, well, assistant captain slash captains, like, or
Mm.
however many, 5 or 6 of them, like right there because they weren't in any position to win. So I figured, that was probably the only out that was really left on the table.
All right. So we finished the day for you here with the remaining Arrancars aside from Grim Jow being defeated. What are your predictions for tomorrow?
Predictions for tomorrow.
Mm.
Probably we're gonna get more of like the Grimjaw versus Ichigo. I think either Ichigo is gonna find a way to defeat him here, or they're like gonna continue fighting. And um, so like he's the only one left, right? He's like the only one left
Yeah,
of the Arrancars.
Grim Jow's the only person left from this invasion.
Yeah, so I think it's either they're gonna like finish their fight here, or he's going to like catch wind of like all of his homies have been taken out, and he's going to kind of like think, well, it's going to be me versus like 6 Soul Reapers. Like I better just skedaddle right now and report back to Aizen. But on the other hand, he doesn't seem like the type of guy to or Rankar to heed those warnings. So I think it's very likely we get some resolution within that and of that fight with the next 10 chapters coming, and then maybe a little bit of Aizen licking his wounds back at his hideout, trying to figure out like what the next steps are with their
Mm.
whole thing, and then the Soul Reapers that are on Earth right now, kind of coming together, recovering, and trying to figure out what their next plan of attack is.
Yeah. So tomorrow you're going to be finishing volume 24, Imminent God Blues, and entering volume 25, No Shaking Throne.
Yeah.
We've entered week 3 today.
Oh shoot, we're
Yeah,
getting there. We're getting up there.
going right by. You're in the beginning of this new arc now. You're 2, 3 days into it.
Early days. Early days.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention here before we head out?
No, I think I got it all out. Hopefully, be able to fix my computer tomorrow. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to those watching right now. You can follow us live on Twitch for IMF streams if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact to get notified of future live broadcasts. Have a good one, people. Bye.
See ya.